The DMV, the home of the 13-hour wait. So, I just got back from the DMV, and I thought I'd put in another one of these. I've already showed you how to do that on the other car. I bought a second one for the white Crown Vic because I like it. But I'm going to do a video about the whole marketplace experience. I'm going to refrain from cursing too much just because it was that bad. I learned a few things, and the whole marketplace thing was a clown show. It was absolutely just... But, you know, I listened to some of these guys online, and like Rob Pitts, he sells cars online. I listened to him, and is that the rear view? No. And he has had a lot of good advice. Well, I took some, I ignored some, and some of what I ignored, I probably should have paid attention to. So, here's a few things that I learned about what I should have done. Because this isn't the first time selling things on Marketplace, but this is the first time selling a junk car on Marketplace. So, I'm going to refrain from telling you what I actually paid for the car. And till the end, and then you'll see why I took so little for it. I made money, trust me. But so let's get started. One thing I didn't show on the last video was the ease. This thing is actually magnetic. It just literally just snaps in. Well, it's supposed to. Doggone it. Well, I bungled that up. Yeah, there it goes. It just snaps in, but it's really easy to pull out of the car. Now I have to figure out where this thing's going to live permanently. It's going to live behind the mirror. That ought to work. So I got it mounted behind the mirror. Yeah. And should be alright right there. Yay. Got to mount the back one here. One of the things I discovered is that there's just a lot of things with Marketplace you can't control. The amount of interaction you have with garbage human beings is one of them. Sounds horrible to say that, but the majority of the people are there, they're bored, they're wasting your time. And with that, I realized something too late, was that you saw the car. I could have dolled it up a little more, made it look a whole lot better. I actually should have just vacuumed it out and done it that way, but I didn't. And I marketed it too cheap. It was right in that gray area to where it's just right on the line of, is it salvageable or is it junk? There we go. Rotate that down. It's right in the middle. Kind of. Yeah, it's wide angle, so it'll work. So I went and marketed it too cheap. Now, you're saying, well, you only gave, you know, X amount of dollars. I only gave $200 for the car. It had to go. It was about to get towed. The guy just wanted it gone. No problem. Red made the deal. She actually made a really good deal on the car. And so we get $200 from a guy that the car's about to get towed. He doesn't care. He wants it gone. So I bring it. I look at it, and you saw in the last video, it was absolutely trashed. So what I should have done, I did clean it up a little bit, but before I listed it, I should have detailed it completely. And I listed it for $750. That's that gray area. I should have listed it for $1,300. You get over that $1,000 mark, and it weeds out a lot of people. At $750, the bottom feeders came out. I mean, it was like every bottom feeder in South Wichita found me. It was horrible. And just all they were wanting to do was waste my time. And I don't have a lot of it. So how do you keep your time from being wasted? Well, raise your price. Part of the problem is that most of these people, these bottom feeders, they're wanting the car because they're going to do the same thing you're doing. They want to flip it. They think they can screw you out of a buck and take all your profit and make money themselves. You know, they say things like, you got to leave a little meat on the bone. And no, it's not my job to make you money. They want me to cut my own throat, give them a deal where I don't make any money, so they can turn around and make a profit. You know, there's a fine line between a parts car and a car that can be restored. This car was actually restorable. It was a lot better than it looked once I really started digging into it. The rust was actually a lot more minimal than I thought. It was a good car. In fact, we had planned, if it didn't sell by Sunday, we were going to actually just roll it back up here to the driveway and gotta wrap this up here. We were gonna roll the thing up, put it in the garage. Well, not in the garage, but you know, get it to where it could be worked on, and we were gonna fix it up. Honestly, we really got looking at it. The torque boxes were a little rusty, as you would think, and the only rust on the rear floor pans, because when I really started looking, it was all really superficial surface rust. Underneath, it was just the rear floors from the convertible top leaking. So we figured maybe another $1,000 and have that thing running, and I could probably have gotten $3,000 out of it. So, but I really didn't want to deal with it. So that's why I asked what I asked for it, and like I said, I didn't ask enough. But everybody thinks that they're a car flipping genius, and car flipping is not that easy. The problem is that in this up market right now, there's so much money to be made. Everybody's jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody looks like an expert in this market. So everybody's just capitalizing on greed and laziness. So what do I mean by that? Guys are getting greedy to make a buck. Guys are getting greedy for new cars. So these people are willing to cut their own throat to buy an overpriced used car. I find that strange, but that's what's happening. So it's just capitalism at its finest. And which I agree with, but at the same time, don't screw your neighbor, which is kind of what's happening. But they're allowing themselves to be screwed. So everybody thinks they can make a quick flip and make a buck because they saw Richard Rollins do it. Y'all ain't Richard Rollins. I ain't Richard Rollins. If you've ever studied the man, love him or hate him, the dude knows money. You can't argue that. And he's a businessman. But that being said, everybody wants to be gas monkey and nobody really wants to put in the work. They think that flipping a junk car is going to make them rich. Well, no, it's not. You're just going to get stuck with a junk car because eventually you hit a threshold and nobody's going to pay you. And if you got a bad reputation for doing this, nobody's going to buy your junk car anyways. You just end up scrapping it for less than what you bought it for. So that's kind of what's going on here. So I got to pull this off. That's what happened with the car. You know, it's been just an absolute mess. But so I put it online and it just, from day one, it was just a mess. Sorry about the lighting. It's just one of those days. So before y'all start talking about what a horrible human being I am for screwing a kid out of a car or this or that or the other thing, I actually, there was a couple people that I wouldn't sell the car to because they were kids just like I was. They thought they found a deal. They didn't understand what they were in for. And I was real, well, the one kid, he wanted tow it home with a tow strap, and I was like, you need a trailer. That's just, I'm not even going to argue with you on that. I wouldn't let him. I told him, no, I'm not going to, unless you got a way to get it home. You know, I'm not going to entertain this just because I'm not going to be liable for that. But all that aside, there was a couple of kids that I saw that they were eager and they wanted it. Of course they wanted it. They thought it was a great deal, and it's a Fox body Mustang, and you know, it's something that, you know, they read about and wanted, and this was within their reach. And I didn't have a problem with that part. The problem was the car was so rough that I didn't want the car to put a bad taste in their mouth, thinking that, you know, they'd gotten their dream car and they'd gotten screwed. You know, one kid, like I said in the last video, wanted to trade me for a 61 Scout, and as much as I would have loved to have had a 61 Scout, I wouldn't do it. I said, son, I said, that Scout's worth 7 times what this car is worth. I said, you need to sell that car outright to someone who's going to love it. Because, yeah, do I want it? Absolutely. I said, but I'm not gonna sit there and screw you out of it because I want it. Yeah, I want the car, but you know, we're talking a $200 Mustang versus a $3,000 Scout. And trust me, had I got that Scout, I would have put it on eBay and I would have got 6 times the amount of money for it. But I told him to do that because, well, he's young and I didn't want to see him make I didn't want to screw him. There's plenty of guys out there that will. There's a lot of guys out there that would have just jumped on that. And truthfully, I didn't want to see him get a bad taste in the mouth. You know, it's hard getting young guys in the car game these days. And if you can get him some good guidance and a good positive experience, I'm fairly certain that these guys are going to be the next Ian Russells or George Barris's, or that's not me. I'm not that guy. But those kids are out there right now. And I want those kids to have a good shot. And I want them to have a positive experience as they get into the game. Well, I've got the wires all run and tucked, and I don't like this installed as well as I like the last one. I got the little thing up there, but it seems to be right in the middle of the window, but my OCD is having a little bit of a fit. So let's get this thing plugged in and see what happens. So the nightmare that is Marketplace, it's always going to be full of bottom feeders. But I guess there's a few lessons that I learned that to weed them out. Overprice the car. It gives you some room to work with. I gave myself a lot of room to work with, and believe it or not, the car still wasn't priced accordingly. It was priced accordingly for me. You're always going to get those guys that say, well, 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Look, dude, it's not 5 or 10 years ago, it's now. One thing that I've been preaching lately is that yesterday's parts cars are today's resto mods. There's no more clean examples. Like these Crown Vics, everybody says they're a dime a dozen. Look around. You're not seeing them like you used to. I mean, they're going quicker than Mustangs right now. They're just not around. And the ones that you're finding are suddenly the prices, you know, were $1,000 2 years ago. A black and white one like that one, that's a $5,000 car right now. Don't believe me? Look it up. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I wouldn't give $5,000 for that, but I'll take it if you're going to pay me. And, you know, hey, free market. But the fact of the matter is, you know, I felt as a car guy it was my duty to protect the younger generation and not really want to screw anybody over. But also, I had to be brutally honest. Put everything in, explain to people that the car is rough. Like I said, it was rougher than a stucco bathtub. But you also have to understand that no matter what you put in the description, people aren't going to read it. They're just going to hit the "is it available" button. That's all they care about. Is it available? Is it available? Is it available? And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the deluge of crap I went through. And this is only part of it because I deleted half of it. people wanting this and people wanting that and wanting to know this and wanting to know that. And some of it was legit, some of it wasn't. Clean title. Does it have a title? Well, yeah, read the description. It says it's got a clean title. You have to understand that people on Marketplace aren't readers. It's just, I put everything in there, and it's like nobody read a thing. A few of them did. But the other thing is if the car had been worth more and it had had a good top and it had been running and driving and all that, and in reasonably good shape, I never would have entertained selling it on Marketplace. I would have taken it to a real site like Bring a Trailer. I would have paid money to put it on an ad out there to get it to a broader audience, but to really weed out just, this sounds so horrible to say this, just the undesirables that are just sitting there wasting your time. We're not here to get our time wasted. We're here to sell a car. And I know I sound horrible talking like this, but truthfully, it is what it is. That guy that made the deal with me and just ghosted me, I made a mistake there. He came in, he lowballed me. I said, just take it, get it out. And, but don't ever mark the car pending until you have either a cash app or something or money or mark it sold. Just tell them flat out, the car stays up till cash is in my hand. That's the best way to do it. You know, you're not out here for these people. Everybody wanted you to cater to them favorably. And truthfully, you can't do it. I mean, you can't. There's no way to do it. First cash gets the car. I had messages coming in while I was selling it. And I did mark it pending. The guy said he's coming back with a dolly, and then I marked it pending. So when you go out to sell these things, just watch yourself. And if you're not comfortable bringing people to your house, don't do it. Do it at a neighbor's house. Do it in a parking lot. Do it. I couldn't do it with this car just because it didn't run. I don't want people at my house. But it is what it is. So that was my adventure. It's kind of, it was a whole lot more stressful, and I was glad when it was gone. Like I said, I gave $200 for the car. I sold it for $500. I made $300 bucks. I had it advertised for $750. But truthfully, like I said, I should have vacuumed it out, done a little more detailing, and then wanted $1,000 for it. And that right there would have weeded out a lot of the bottom feeders. But the guys who were serious about it would have made me real offers. And they would have made me $600 and $700 offers, and I would have been more than happy to entertain those. You know, would I have made any more money? Probably not. But, you know, it's it all comes down to what you're willing to do. I just wanted it gone. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Enjoy this little bit from Marketplace after this. So we'll see you next video. And it's working, if you can see that. Backup camera's working too. So we'll start off with about a half a dozen of these. Is this available? Yes. Is this available? Yes. Is this available? Yes. See how annoying that is? Imagine it from my end. It was 4 days of that. Now when I posted this ad, I made it kind of lighthearted and explained that I had no keys for the trunk and did not know what was in it, but if they get it open after they buy it, whatever was in there was theirs forever. Well, I get this ad. Guy asked, what if there's a dead body in the trunk? Would that make me accountable for it? And all I could think of was, well, I think we can work something out when in doubt, there's always arson. So that was kind of fun. Can you bring it to me? And for the privilege of me knocking $350 off the price, they want me to haul it to them. No. If I was to haul it to you and deliver it, you would pay the full asking price. And this is Marketplace. That wasn't happening. I mean, I'm in Kansas. What the hell am I going to do with a riverboat? That's probably why he wants to sell it. Because those are useless in Kansas. That's not even a joke. They're just useless in Kansas. There were several of these lowballers I guess the purpose of this whole video, other than this rip it, is if you're gonna sell on marketplace, have a plan. Don't take anything less than what you want, because everybody's out there to get theirs. You're out here to get yours. You have something they want, so stick to your guns. Hope you enjoyed this little. It got a whole lot worse than this, but hey, it's a savage world out there. Stay safe. We'll see you next video.